There are certain forms of the art in the fermentation, all the handcraft. But at the same time, I like to approach this more as an engineering challenge because as a manufacturer, you need to be able to guarantee that you have a consistent quality product to your customer at the price point that you promised.
And that's Shinobu Kato, founder and brewer of Kato Sake Works. In this episode, we talked about the financial challenges of starting a business, the art, craft, and engineering of sake, and the importance of having a supportive spouse through it all. Next up on Hustle and Grind.
Today we have Shinobu Kato, and Shinobu Kato is with Kato Sake Works. Shinobu, welcome to our show.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Good, good.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about your business? What's your business about?
As the name implies, we make sake, the rice wine or rice beer, whatever you call. So we are an alcoholic beverage manufacturing business.
Wow. How did you get started with that? I mean, what made you decide I want to make sake?
So I've been a very dedicated sake drinker. And before I came to the US, back in Japan, I had a bad sake, good sake, something like that. And then since I moved to the US, I had a hard time having the access to a decent quality sake within my budget.
Financially, how does one start a business, a sake business? How do you start this, cost? How do you produce this?
Okay, so, right now this is a small scale sake brewery, much smaller than your studio today. And then everything is self-funded. Mm-hmm. So, I just spend my savings to start buying, refrigerator, cans, something like that.
You started your first brewery, because you're working on your second one now, correct?
Yes, I had one failed attempt initially, yes.
So tell us about that failed attempt. I hear that there was a story behind that. What happened, what caused it to fail, and how did you rebound from that?
It was, I had a partner while probably we had a little bit different vision, different dream. When I started this by myself, I was in the situation that, hey, I don't know anybody in New York, whatever the help I could get, that'd be great. And I probably jumped in a little bit too prematurely. So that's probably one lesson learned, that although I'm short of resources and any helping hands is helpful, but at the same time, you need to do certain due diligence.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. What would you do differently as far as moving forward if you partnered with someone again? Or would you partner with someone again?
Yeah.
When you are starting something and then when you're lack of the resource, you kind of tend to ignore certain areas that you want to ignore, and you want to deny certain realities that you don't want to see. And in my case, it was a little bit, difference in the vision, difference in the dreams, that when we talk about something, I was like, that's a little bit different from what I'm thinking. But at least like 95% are okay, let's go. Right. And then I think that 5% doubt became the source of the bigger problem in the future as I look back. So, when you go to the a car dealer, you don't want to buy a car just, after driving, you see that, this brake looks a little bit weird, but anyway, everything else looks good, so I'm going to buy the car. No, you'll make sure that everything fits into your needs, right? And I think same is true for any type of relationship or partnership, not only like partner, but like potential investors or, if you have any doubt, don't be shy, but just ask and make sure that that doubt is not the real, future source of the problem.
Wow, that's fantastic advice. Tell us a little bit about production line. I mean, how does it work? Do you have restaurants right now? And of course, with COVID, how is that going? Explain how you get sake out to businesses, and who do you serve? Are you in Brooklyn? Are you worldwide? Talk to us.
Sure. So we are very small in the size, and we don't even have a capacity to supply outside of New York right now, or not even New York. It's like a small or neighborhood, and 80% of our customer base is just retail customers. So the people in the neighborhood walking around and then come to the shop and then buy a bottle or two. The original business idea was to have a tap room, tasting room, so like half bar, half retail shop. But because of the COVID, we were not able to open that space up. So bottles to go is the only sales item that we have. And then the remaining 20% is a distribution of wholesale. So restaurants, bars, liquor store. But as you said, there are not many restaurants still actively open, right? So that sales is a very slow growth.
So I know you touched a little bit about COVID and it changing business. How much has that changed your business? A lot of people, it shut businesses down. How have you been able to kind of survive and pivot, because a lot of companies have to pivot and do new things now. What's your thing? How are you doing that?
So it's kind of funny because many people ask me that. Well, we never operated before COVID, so we don't have anything to compare with. Our original grand opening date was April 4th, and that was probably like a first or second week of the New York City lockdown.
Yeah, it was.
Wow. So this is one of our first businesses that we're interviewing that actually started right in the middle of COVID, and as a retail, as a customer, we were selling an item, a product.
Yeah.
That must have been pretty spooky. Tell us about that.
We waited almost 1 year to get the license to open, and we had everything ready, planned for the grand opening, or put up the bar menu and then something like that. And then this happened, so we have to change our opening plan completely. Like, okay, now we cannot open as we expected. Okay, what can we do? So we shifted to the retail sales. We put the makeshift like shopping counter kind of thing. And then, since then we are pivoting like every 2 weeks or something like that. Okay, now we have to do this. Now we have to do that. The funny story for the first week, or maybe so we are allowed to ship our sake, ship our bottles within New York State. So we are like, okay, now people are not moving because nobody use subway, so we should ship. There's a shortage of carton boxes, and then we try to sell our bottles at the retail. And then now there was a shortage of the paper bags. So that's kind of how we survived. And then, we are still brewing, so I think we are lucky.
Wow. So how many people do you have on your team?
Right now, I only have one full-time employee, and also a couple of part-time people and then volunteers.
How many hours do you spend per day working? Exactly.
Interesting. So it depends on how you define work. I'm at the brewery from like 9:30 to like 7-ish. So that's like 6 days a week. Yeah. That's basically I physically work here. Because we produce sake every day. Right. We open the shop front to the customers. And when I'm not being here, I'm always thinking about something about sake and business. So
exactly.
It's becoming an obsession.
Yeah. An obsession. Well, yeah, let's talk about that, because I think there is something, I'm in an entrepreneurs group, and I remember one of the advice my dad, who's also a business owner, said to someone was, make sure you pick something you're passionate about, because you'll be spending a lot of time with it. Would you agree with that, and talk a little bit about that obsession?
Yeah, I think so. Or, if you don't have a passion, or if you don't enjoy what you are putting as a business, I'd imagine it's very hard to keep on doing, especially like, the life throws you all the, obstacles and curveballs and everything like COVID.
Yes.
Right.
It's quite easy to say that, oh, this is something I didn't plan, let's give up, right? But if you have a passion, you just continue solving problems every day, and eventually you get through.
There's one other thing I want to talk to you about is this, I think of food and products as art. I mean, I'm an artist, filmmaker, and talk to me about the art of sake. What makes this an art form for you?
So I define myself not an artist, but more like an engineer.
Okay.
And while, yes, I kind of agree that there are certain forms of the art in the fermentation, all the handcraft. But at the same time, I like to approach this more as an engineering challenge because, you like the craft, small batch handcrafted product to the level, but as a producer, as a manufacturer, you need to be able to guarantee that you have a consistent quality product to your customer at the price point that you promised, right? And that's a little bit different part of the brain than, hey, I can try whatever the cool recipe and then stuff. Yeah, that's one side, but at the same time, how to operationalize and industrialize that art into a day-to-day tasks is a different thing, right? So yeah, I'm probably a little bit different approach than other more like artisanal people.
No, but that makes sense, because I know as a consumer, of either alcohol or food, there's a lot of times when I say this place is consistently good. And you go back because you're going to get, when you order that same thing, it's going to taste the exact same way you had it before. So I think that's a great way to describe it as an engineer, because you have to pay attention to those things. And that's what keeps regular clients probably coming back to you. But yeah, and going back to the passion, I totally agree with that because my husband teases me all the time because fun for me, Friday night is me laying in bed, working, doing stuff that I can kind of do mindlessly, and I'm watching 2020 or something like that. I don't want to go out because I'm like, oh my God, no, I can do this marketing piece or I can do that. So I'm constantly always working on something. And so, when I hire my staff and they're like, well, what are the hours? I'm like, it's just random, it can be anything at this point, So I'm always looking for staff in my business that also are passionate about this work, but are flexible because it may be 9 o'clock. I may not have contacted them all day, but 9 o'clock something hits me and I'm like, hey, can you do this or can you put this on your schedule to work on? So passion is, I think, key in being an entrepreneur, right? Wouldn't you say that, Jeff?
Oh, I agree totally.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you were saying, I don't watch movies the same way ever once I got into this business, And,
yes.
Or I'm thinking about our team, like how is this going to work with this person? How are we going to do this shoot? How are we going to solve this problem? But it's kind of an obsession, but it's also a passion. I mostly love it. I don't love every part of my business.
Yes.
I don't know. Does anybody?
Right.
I mean, do you, Shinobu?
Exactly.
But I love what we're doing today. I love all these people here, in my barn, and it's exciting.
So we know you're married, and I understand from your bio that there was a point where your wife lived in Japan, you were here. How did you navigate a long-distance relationship? And I also know that, tell us how she supported you in this business transition.
Okay, so we've done that long distance couple of times during our 15 years marriage. And, sometimes I'm in US, she's in Japan, I was in India, she was in, Tokyo, something like that. And I don't know, she's like me. She has a passion project and then that's her work, right? And we respect each other. And then if that at certain occasion, we need to be in the different place to pursue your personal goal and my personal goal. That's cool because, you know, I want her to be successful as an individual, and then that's why I got married with her. So sometimes if we need to go through the long distance, that's fine, you know. Oh, it's kind of weird.
No, I think that's amazing. You know, I think it's important to support, and I love hearing a man talking about how they want to help let their woman to shine and pursue her goals too, because oftentimes you hear the man is trying to achieve his dreams and the woman is there supporting, or she's the one staying at home with the kids. And then the next thing you know, she's in a position where, man, I never lived my life. So kudos to you and both of you for supporting each other with your individual passions, you know?
When I started my business, I mean, I leaned on my wife. You know, she had this great job working for the Navy, and I moved down to DC from Brooklyn, and I said, you know, I'm trying to make this documentary, and she said, go do it. You know, and there wasn't any money really involved in that, and it took years to start making a living out of this business. So I have a lot to thank for her supporting me.
Yeah.
Did you feel that at all? I don't know did your wife help you in that way at all? Was there any of that kind of stuff? And what's the Japanese culture like?
Actually, you know, before I starting more on the, you know, entrepreneurial mode, there was a moment that I was kind of half convinced but half not ready yet, you know, time. And then it was her who told me that, hey, Shinobu, I know what you want. So just go ahead and do it, you know. And yeah, there are a couple of moments like that she was the one told me that, hey, Shinobu, you know the answer. You have to just follow that.
Oh, I love that.
That's awesome. If there was a young entrepreneur or someone young, what would you say to them about getting started?
Getting started, you know, I know it's kind of intimidating because what you try to achieve is quite big. You know, you're doing something from the scratch. You try to move the mountain or something like that. So just take one piece today and then just do it. I think, you know, entrepreneurship is just an accumulation of doing a very, very small thing every day, and eventually you get there. But it's kind of easy to think that, oh, I need to have a plan, I need to have money, I cannot do anything until I'm ready. No, I think you are ready. Just take one piece of the stone and move that to, you know, to the next destination. And that's the first step. And you just need to continue doing that.
Hey, I love it. And I agree. Because when you have the plan and the thought or the vision in your head, you're ready. And you just got to do it. Because if you keep waiting for the right time, like you said, or the right money or whatever, it will never come. So great advice. Great advice.
What should we do when we order sake? What should we be looking for in good sake?
Yeah, like how will we know what's a good sake and what's a bad one? Because we have no taste buds in that.
Yeah, that's really hard. And I think, you know, you have to drink in quantity. You try.
Especially Kato.
Yes.
Eventually, it's a personal preference. So don't, you know, your sommelier cannot tell you that this is a good sake, right? If you like the flavor, that's what you like. But you need to drink a lot to start knowing that what you like.
That's great. And hot or cold? Hot or cold? What's the reason? What do you like?
Short answer, cold.
Cold. I love it. It's like whiskey. I drink whiskey neat. You know, it's sake cold. Now I know. I'm gonna go in and do sake cold.
Yeah, but today outside here is like 20 degrees, and then don't drink cold.
Exactly.
Right?
That's great. So I have one last question, and it's one we ask a lot: is what's the future? What's the ideal future for Kato Sake Works? And obviously it can be post-COVID or whatever. But what do you hope for the business in the future?
So right now, you know, our production scale is very small, and thanks to the drinking population in Bushwick, we are reaching almost at the capacity now. So we cannot produce any more sake, and we are exploring an option to expand the capacity. So that's a very short term, like 1 year kind of goal. In the future, we have a couple of ideas, but maybe we open a branch brewery in DC.
That'd be nice.
That's just great. You were fantastic. Thank you so much for being on our show.
Appreciate that.
You're great.
Thank you.
If you want to be a guest on our next show and you have a great story, check us out on thehustle.tv.
Don't forget to like us on the link below and subscribe.